Hello, welcome back to Blender Live. In this episode, I want to talk about Deep Paint add-on from Gaku. So this add-on is basically a set of tools for Blender, grease pencil. Basically, if you are like a doodler, you like to draw things with you like to make strokes and shapes. Normally, you do things in 2D. Maybe you already work using grease pencil, and grease pencil is kind of like 2D. It's not exactly you can draw grease pencil in 3D, but with deep paint, you kind of think about grease pencil, and then you kind of think about what you can create in 3D using grease pencil to turn it into volume, or like quickly make like a uh, rotation, or screw it, or like make an array. It's basically like if I look at other add-on, for example, Sketch and Carve by Sahin. So this add-on is very similar. I think similar approach to Gaku. Gaku one is a bit simpler, while Sketch and Carve can go pretty deep, especially if you're drawing lots of shapes. With Gaku one, it goes in where you can actually do like a booleans and things like that. It's actually quite robust. It's really, really powerful once you get into it. With Gaku, it's slightly simpler. Deep Paint is slightly simpler. As you can see, the documentation is quite long. I look at it like really roughly, but the approach is try to turn grease pencil into something that's more robust, because you can turn it into 3D, and you can apply like nice watercolor like materials, and then you just paint. So it's utilizing 3D mesh based on grease pencil. I also talk a little bit about Feather 3D in previous video, right? I also this one works on the web and on the iPad. If it's on the iPad, I can just carry around with Apple Pencil and just draw things like that. If Feather 3D actually have a bit of capability of grease pencil, I think it's just like really, really powerful in its own regard. This one is more like almost like a CAD. So, but don't worry about that for now. Let's just focus on Deep Paint Gaku. So I already purchased the add-on. It's not a free add-on, but you can get the cheapest one. But I bought the like the $40 one, I think. Yeah, well, if I already have it installed. So grease pencil, we always need to start with grease pencil. So the add-on will have this panel. So the panel is quite large. There's a lot of things like might seem complicated, but at the very beginning, you just need to add a grease pencil object, right? There's also a shortcut, which is E. E will let you draw a blank grease pencil to start with. And you can watch Gaku tutorial. I'm not gonna go through every tutorial of Deep Paint add-on, but I know I will do a few things that you might find useful. It's the thing that I get when I first use Deep Paint add-on. So yeah, add grease pencil object. So we are working already with grease pencil. You can turn on the canvas if you like to. Sometimes I like to have the canvas on, but in my case, I just like to turn it off. Canvas is where you draw and paint grease pencil, because even though grease pencil is like it's a 2D stroke, but you when you first draw the stroke, it's like drawing it on a canvas, right? If you can switch to 3D cursor placement of the grease pencil, or stroke. This is the one I like, or on the surface of 3D objects. Let's do the stroke. If we are doing it this way, we already know I like to do this type of doodle. It's very freeing, like just like you just draw, and then you can go to you can rotate your 3D view, and then you can keep drawing your grease pencil. So you get this, we already know, and you can right click, convert it into Bezier curve, etc. But the Gaku with Gaku add-on, it's like I said, it's a set of tools that making it easy if you want to convert grease pencil into other objects. Yeah, that's So if I tap E, so this is the shortcut for Gaku Deep Paint. There's a lot of option here. There's a GP to mesh menu. It's got a lot of option there, but for now, this is the grease pencil that we have. I can go to E and then convert it into line mesh. Line mesh will give it, we'll turn it into some kind of solid 3D mesh object, right? And then you can perhaps, if you really want to displace, so I like this feature, and then you can control 2 and then smooth it. So that's one way to use this, I guess. Convert it into, right click, convert to mesh, or you can click here. I think it's doing the same thing, decimate it. And then the next approach, so from grease pencil you can easily turn it into mesh. So that's the idea. And then you can apply the material, which is like DPM material. By default it's white color. You can set it into any color you want. You cannot see because you need to switch to different shading viewport. So you start to see there's some kind of noise happening. This noise, like Gaku in his video tutorial, he said you can set the noise. If it's too large, click on this and then it will actually reassign. It's like applying the transform and then set the scale of the noise or things like that. But anyway, we can set this to the base color using set vertex color. So whatever base color you want, and then you vertex paint, and then you just paint on it. So right click, choose a color and then paint it. So it's like what is this, like a cactus or some kind of like a water plant, right? It's pretty abstract. It's okay, but we start with something like grease pencil, right? So that's something to start with. So the next thing, I'll just gonna save this into like deep paint random. So it's I'm trying to get used to the concept of deep paint first. E, add blank again. So we are presented with blank canvas. What's the next thing we can do? Drawing shapes. So I like to draw shapes. Maybe you like to draw shapes. Any shapes can work. So with deep paint, if you're drawing a shapes, if you draw it this way, you know, like multiple stroke like this, if you use sketch and carve, this kind of shapes could work. With deep paint, it's recommended you just be confident and draw like a shapes like this. You can create something that looks like a letter, for example. It will work. But I think the shapes with hole, that's more for sketch and carve. But anyhow, if you have these shapes and then you hit E, you can use GP to solid mesh or GP to round mesh or GP to fill mesh. Those things will work. So let's try GP to round mesh. It will give you something that looks more or less like a stone, right? So the shapes suddenly become a 3D mesh. The one that's drawn with multiple strokes kind of fail there. These things fail. Command L, delete everything using X. But the rest of them seems to be fine. It's like a stone in different shapes. And you can apply, once again, you can apply the DPM. And then visual mesh. You can break them apart, separate by loose part. So now you should have multiple objects, like a stone, and then you can right click, set origin to geometry. Yeah, now you can place them whatever you like. You can rearrange them in 3D because they are already 3D objects. Okay. And of course, because they are all separate objects, if you go look at the wireframe, it's quite clean. You can decimate them. There's a lot of post-processing you can do after the fact. You can triangulate it if you want to do all sort of thing. Change the topology if you like, or just, you know, set the vertex paint. make it, yeah, make it colorful if you want to. And on top of that, you can add vertex paint and then continue to paint. Yeah, it's quite abstract, and at the moment I'm not really creating anything. I could try to make like some kind of totem inspired by Dogu, Japanese ancient doll. Which one of this? Oh, this one, the famous one. This Dogu from Jomon period, from thousands of years ago. You can make up stories based on the Dogu, but yeah, you can try to shape the character. But you can make it from multiple parts. It's a clay, and remember this thing, okay, the shapes is of course 3D objects, so you can always sculpt it. You can sculpt them like normally because you are in Blender. You can always sculpt this. Yeah, if you really want to, you can use dynamic topology, but it's gonna change the topology and the vertex color underneath, but you can go deeper if you want to. Okay, don't worry for that for now. I guess, yeah, it's gonna just make things a little bit more complicated than it's supposed to. So grease pencil and 3D objects. What's the next thing I should show you? E, start with E again, add blank. So if we draw something like this, oh, my stroke is too big. Let's just right click and make the radius smaller. So if I draw something like this, if I hit E again, I can actually screw these objects. Screw, okay, this is the operation called screw. By default it's set to 16. Yeah, it will create this type of object, like a revolve. And with this guy is now the objects that we already know. We can actually use an array. So there's an extra utility down here. Spin, tree generator. I haven't tried all of this, but you can use the spin. Okay, if you place this object and then Control A and then apply all transform, now the origin go back to the 0, 0, 0, and then you can spin it. So this is like, I think these are kind of like geometry objects tools. So you can do these sort of things, and then you can apply, and then you can remask, and then you paint on top of it. Right click, yeah, you can play around with all the setting. I'm not gonna do that. Just gonna right click, convert to mesh. Oh, actually this guy, if it's an instance object, yeah, we need to mesh apply, so it's become an objects that we can remesh and decimate, things like that. Assign the DPM material and set vertex color, vertex paint. So this guy usually after remesh, it has a certain topology that's allowing you to just paint on top of it. So that's the whole idea. Just grease pencil become 3D mesh. It's not just grease pencil, stroke and shapes. They are not 3D, but now it's actually becoming a mesh. And if it's a mesh, you can export it out. You can actually maybe 3D print, but it's probably more for like a game engine. This guy can have a setup, you know, for the render that's making it look a little bit nicer. Let's add a world color. I think this is gonna work nice in Eevee. I haven't tested this out. I think that depending on your version of Blender, we might get a different result, because I'm using Mac OS as well, so there might be something that doesn't work 100%. I'm using Blender 4.2, by the way. This is the latest one, LTS version of Blender, so it's official. If there is some kind of weirdness happening, it could be because we might need to wait for an update. But anyhow, this guy, we can have the material and then also create an outline. So this outline is, it comes with Blender Deep Paint as well. Oh, okay, just crashes. Yeah, it's basically allowing you to create outline. What's going on? Did I? Okay, it's capturing my screen. Okay, good, because I'm recording. Anyhow, so we can spin and do an array very quickly. Okay, let's see. Before I go too far, so go back to E, create grease pencil, blank. What else I haven't shown you? If you are doing like what I'll show you with a like feather 3D, right? We can make like a car shapes like this, and it's grease pencil. You can always duplicate this, and then you can turn it into shapes very quickly because it's in Blender. So if I duplicate this and then E, convert it into fill mesh, yeah, it's gonna fill that. I think Feather 3D doesn't have that, but with Blender you can, and you can do like extrusion, things like that. On top of this, if you create a grease pencil, once again, you can draw the stroke on the surface. So yeah, you can do things like that. And then E, maybe convert GP to solid mesh. Yeah, it's not gonna cut through the solid, but you can use boolean after the facts. What's probably missing here, because it's already extruded, we cannot change the extrusion after the fact. Maybe there is a way to do that, but anyhow, we can have that. This one, we can connect these two together, or yeah, because this is already like a stroke object. Let me select the stroke and then separate by selections. So we have that. We have this object over here. We can right click and then we can use E and then convert it into curve or mesh line. Okay, mesh line is very useful because we can just extrude. So object mode, we have mesh line, go to edit mode and then select the objects and then extrude. Select the edge, extrude. Okay, this is what I mean. If this is already extruded objects, you can turn it into solid and then you can paint on it. Yeah, it's the basic stuff, but if you are doing like a 3D doodle, this is one way to do it. E, create blank, grease pencil, and then just set it to surface, and yeah, you can draw things. Feather 3D has some of the grease pencil capabilities, but not everything. But yeah, each one of them have its own strengths. So there are a few other tools that I mentioned here. Like, let's close this. Oh yeah, there's this utility. There's a vine generator. I think if we have a curve, like a Bezier curve, and then apply a vine generator, it's gonna apply it on this guy. So it doesn't give you anything until you have another object here, and you select the curve, and then you just select that object there. So this curve, as you can see, will give you instance of these objects. So that's what's the vine generator. So this is like geometry nodes tool. Give you the density, can scale min and max. So it's like the tools to do the scattering of objects. So you get this for free from the add-on as well. So there's tree generator, vine, braided. If we switch to braided is like a rope. Yeah, you get this for free, which is cool. So that's also handy to create ropes. So we can go to edit mode, because that's a curve so you can draw more curve on top of that. You can also type some kanji, and you can also paint on the surface of object, right? I don't know, just like decorations on top of that. If you have like a plane, and then you use this, let's go to edit mode, delete everything, delete all the vertices. We are in the surface mode and draw mode, so you can scatter more stones. And then if you select everything, you can assign DPM. So once you have the DPM, you can see it's nicely shaded with occlusions, and then you can paint on this guy. Set vertex color. Okay, set this vertex color as well. That's like extruded mesh, right? If you do a vertex paint, it's gonna look a little bit. You can't do that unless you turn it into a solid and then paint it. Maybe decimate or quadrify. After you do that, you can vertex paint. Yeah, that's what I thought. So once the grease pencil become a mesh, you can paint on it. The floor is not painted. This guy, I think I lost. Did I lost all the vertex somehow? Yeah, maybe I did. Just need to paint this again. Yeah, earlier today I created like a totem, this kind of golem. Very easy, and the stroke here, the outline, you get that for free by using this outline. So you can create something like that quite easily. So E, create blank. So let's say we are making the character, so some kind of golem with shapes with the leg, right? The basic stuff. And then E, convert it into fill or mesh or solid mesh or round mesh. So round mesh will give you that. Maybe it's too small, that's why it's looking pretty weird. So delete again. E, create blank. So with the golem, this character probably made of stone. E, convert it into round mesh. Now it's a little bit better. but let's go to the deep paint panel and separate that so we can rearrange it. Select all of these, right click, convert to set origin to geometry because we want it to be centered, and then rearrange it. Just join them. It's a leg. Duplicate it. Actually Miyazaki Hayao character. Miyazaki Laputa robot. Yeah, this robot might seem simple. Yeah, you can recreate this robot basically using that kind of approach. Yeah, it's very basic, but I think it's meant to be super simple to recreate for kids to draw. Very simple, but quite appealing. E, convert to round mesh, right? It's very easy. Add length, draw this. Can make this arm really long. Yeah. Anyhow, you got the idea. Let's draw the head. We need to spin it, so use the screw, spin it. It's Command L. Right click, set origin to geometry or something like that. So this guy, and then save it as Golem. What's the robot name in Laputa? I forgot. Doesn't matter. Command J. This guy, you can apply, assign DPM, create outline. It will give you nice outline as long the setting is correct. Create a plane, and this guy, okay. Maybe, yeah, just add blank, and then using grease pencil just draw the eyes or something. Draw on the surface. Okay, maybe draw that. Very interesting. E, convert into line mesh. Yeah, and then assign vertex color, vertex paint. Oops. Assign a DPM. Yeah. Yeah, this sort of things. It's 3D. It's originally grease pencil, of course. But it's becoming 3D mesh. Yeah, I think I did something wrong with the head there. So we don't get the correct looking strokes. Anyhow, this guy, let's set vertex color, vertex paint, and we can paint on top of this. And it's 3D. You can render it from different angle. If you want to select what's behind it, just enable this X-ray and then Command L, and you can place this character. Of course, I think, yeah, one more I haven't talked about. If you are drawing with grease pencil, as cool as it is, we can also, use the stroke, as we already know. On top of this, of course, we can always use sculpt. And the sculpt, you can adjust thickness. So probably not many people knows how powerful this is, like to be able to sculpt the stroke. You can randomize with the grab. I think grab is really powerful because you can sculpt this grease pencil after the fact. So back to draw mode. I can use this pencil, and then I can just E and convert to line mesh and become a solid object. And then right click, convert origin to geometry, and you can have something that's pretty abstract. And then you can paint, join everything again, and then assign the DPA material, and then set vertex color, make it colorful. Even this is so simple, right? So simple. This is already quite powerful. Yeah, it makes the grease pencil very approachable for anyone. So if that's a doodler, yeah. And I think I forgot something. The grease pencil, yeah, E by default only come with these presets, but you can have more of grease pencil tool simply by importing the custom brush pack. This is also come with Gaku, so you can paint with the different brushes. That's more natural, so you can paint on top of this guy, for example. But this is gonna be probably for dressing up on top of what we already have. So this really add more like painterly look on top of what looks like a 3D. You know, with this it feels more like a watercolor, which is really nice. This also comes with the add-on, so there's a lot with this add-on that I haven't tried myself. But yeah, that's pretty much Gaku. I can keep talking. You know, it takes time to understand the tool, to get used to it. Don't try to do everything at once. I think get used to it first. Get to know the add-on. I really recommend you to also, yeah, if you buy this add-on Deep Paint, you will also like Sketch and Carve. The Feather 3D currently is still free. You can work on the iPad and on the web app. This is also really powerful in its own manner. I think it works really well with Gaku because the Gaku, it's just everything will look like painterly and it's just beautiful. If you look at some example of Deep Paint on Twitter, there's a lot. So yeah, that's pretty much it, I guess. First look into Deep Paint add-on. Hopefully you'll find this useful. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.